Last night, Bayern created an impressive 2.92 expected goals away from home against Real Madrid, and that doesn't include moments like this that the stats can't pick up because Bayern never managed to get the shot off. The Bayern attack was simply far too good for Real Madrid, and Michael Olise in particular deserves a special mention. Now, Olise performing on the big stage is no surprise at all. He's been fantastic all season long. This season he's scored 16 goals and grabbed himself 29 assists. His final product has been immense all season long, but in this game it was his dribbling, ball carrying and ability to gain territory that was so important for Bayern. Now, of course, Olise played this game on the right wing, and I think there is always something that we have to consider when a winger has such a good performance, and that is how did he get the ball so regularly? Wingers often find themselves in a bit of a difficult position. They can be overloaded often by the opposition. So tactically, you have to do something to free your winger up regularly in order for them to have an effective performance. And Bayern were able to do that thanks to the tactical usage of Stanisic. See, every time one of the deeper Bayern players, whether that was Upamecano or Kimmich, had the ball, Stanisic would make the same run every single time. He's going to make a run off the ball that looks a little bit like that. And the reason why he's going to do this is because as he runs into this position here, Arda Güler for Real Madrid is required to follow him into that position. Now Real Madrid sort of have a situational, temporary back five, but more importantly, Bayern now have easy access from Pavlovic or Upamecano out to Olise. And Olise, picking the ball up regularly, getting lots of touches on the ball and able to play 1 versus 1 against the fullback is going to be a long night. Now in this game, Olise was relentless with his ball carrying. Time and time again, he would pick it up and look to take on Alvaro Carreras at left back for Real Madrid, who had a really tough night of it, and that was largely because Olise was so open to just anything. He seemed to make every right decision every time he picked up the ball, and he could do anything. He had one of those nights where he was in flow state, but most importantly, he can go both ways, and that is incredibly important if you want to have an unpredictable, off-the-cuff performance like Olise did last night. So he can come inside onto his left foot, or he can go down the line. And for the Real Madrid fullback, who is quite a young man himself, that immediately makes life difficult because you can't predict and anticipate where Olise is going to go, which is immediately going to put the fullback into a situation where he is reacting. If Olise was one-footed and could only come inside the pitch, then what you do as a fullback is you play really narrow and force him to go outside where he doesn't want to go. On the other hand, if Olise can only go out wide, well then you play a little bit wider, force him inside where he doesn't want to go. But when Olise can go both ways so effectively, I'll show you guys some clips, going both ways. One moment going inside towards this position, and then in the next taking the fullback round the outside down towards the byline, it makes life so difficult for your fullback because you don't know which way Olise is going to go. And that is going to play a big part in what Olise is going to do next. This part for me is probably the key, and that was the momentum with which Olise played. Now this can't be picked up in a stat. There isn't a number to show this. There isn't a graph that can show you the momentum that he played with. But what Olise did incredibly well in this game was dictated the tempo and the momentum of both himself and the fullback. And of course the ball, I guess, as well is involved in that. What Olise does incredibly well every time he picks up the ball is he is in total control. Sometimes we see wingers who are erratic. They look like they are really being reactive in the moment and not too sure what they're doing. They look a little bit erratic with the way that they're dribbling, a little bit like Bambi on ice. They don't look under control. For Olise, it's the complete opposite. It's almost an art when Olise has the ball. He's in control. He is dictating what's going on. He is leading the play. He is very much in control of the situation. And whoever the poor fullback is on the night is responsible for trying to react to everything that Olise is going to do. But what Olise does so well is controls the momentum. So many wingers want to pick the ball up and run at 100 miles an hour directly at a fullback. They want to sprint at them and take them on and be super quick with every action. Olise, though, is very different. Olise is more about the art of slowing everything right down. He takes his time on the ball, and that's what makes him so effective, because in these moments he stops almost, causing the fullback to do the same. The second the fullback is stopped, you're in a bad situation. Your feet become planted, and for Olise, it's now much easier to burst past you. Olise isn't actually as quick as what some wingers on the planet are, but he sort of manipulates the tempo and the opposition so well that he doesn't need to be quite as quick. By slowing down, he waits for that moment where the defender plants his feet, and then Olise, because he is leading the charge, isn't reacting, he is proactive, is able to take advantage of this and sort of burst into that space. And as we've seen already, that can mean coming inside the pitch this way, or it can be going down the outside. But I think the way that he slowed play down time and time again in this game, before then accelerating again, was absolutely fantastic. Taking the play really slow and then speeding it up. And for the fullback, it's an absolute nightmare because you're almost lulled into this false sense of security. When Olise picks the ball up and slows down initially, you get out there as a fullback, you get close to your man, you know, the play is slow. The winger is slow, you've got out into position, you feel like you're in a good place. But then Olise just absolutely toasts you. He makes you look daft, and yeah, it's just a long night really. It's just difficult, so difficult to defend against, and that's because Olise is in total control. Now this next part is why Olise is one of my favourite wingers on the planet, and has been ever since he was at Crystal Palace, and that is because he has this skill set, this dribbling, which is so fantastic. He can go both ways, he controls the tempo, controls the momentum, and he uses that to his advantage. So many wingers just look wasteful because you can see all the skills that they have, all the talent that they have, but they don't quite make the most of it. Olise is the complete opposite. He uses his skill almost at times in psychological warfare with the opposition, and that's how he gets the upper hand. He uses the disguise, the knowledge that he can go both ways, to his full advantage. He uses a trick on the opposition really, and what he did very well last night was made sure that he was getting himself efficiently towards the opposition goal, playing diagonally, coming back inside. A lot of wingers will play laterally, sort of horizontally, they come across the pitch, or they will go vertically, that way. Neither of which actually really take you that much closer to the target over here. What Olise did really well was attacked diagonally towards the opposition. Now that might be with passing work, for example, a pass like this from out to in into the middle of the pitch, allowing Bayern to get closer to goal, but also with his dribbling work as well. Again here, he picks the ball up, he slows right down, he uses that bait of his teammate, it looks like he's going to pass the ball, and he's so casual with it that the defender just feels relaxed, and then in the next moment Olise explodes into momentum and bursts into that space, again diagonally taking himself closer to the opposition goal. It was these little things that Real Madrid just could not deal with. You feel sorry for someone like Gula, who's not a defender, or Alvaro, the fullback, who's not the most experienced. They didn't know what to do. They were almost helpless against Olise. Every time he picked the ball up, again, it was him in control. It was him sort of making things happen, and the Real Madrid defenders had to try and find a way to react, and to put it simply, they couldn't. He was able to penetrate this space with passing, with carrying, with dribbling, time and time again, and it was just beautiful to watch. Now unfortunately for Real Madrid, it's about to get even more complicated because of Olise's skill set. So Olise so far has been dribbling very well. He's been carrying the ball. He's been able to go left. He's been able to go right. He's controlled the momentum, slowing down before then bursting forward. We've seen that he can be a diagonal threat, coming from out to in, almost like a dagger into the heart of the Real Madrid defence. Naturally, when a player can do that, what you do as the opposition, as the defenders, is you close yourselves up. You get yourself nice and narrow, you get yourself nice and compact, and all you really want to do as a defender is try and force Olise away from goal, because as long as he's going away from goal, he's not going to cause a problem. Or so you would think. The problem here is Olise is sort of the master of going backwards, yet still being immense going forward. What do I mean by that? So let's imagine the fullback is back into a nice position here. He's in this defensive situation. Olise picks the ball up. Now the last thing you want as a defender is Olise to beat you. You do not want Olise to come inside here, and you don't want him to go around the outside. If you can force him just backwards a little bit, you feel like you've done your job defensively. You feel like you've forced him away from goal. If he's going away from goal, he has to be less dangerous, right? It's sort of the logic that you defend with. The problem is, Olise is sort of the master of taking this touch just a little bit backwards. It's only a little bit backwards, but it's just enough to buy himself a little bit of space. But he's so good with that angle. Coming backwards and then using his left foot to wrap back inwards is so effective. Here, it's technically sort of a backwards touch, which frees up the space for him to then eventually shoot at goal. So the defenders have forced him further away from goal, but he's still so dangerous that it's not really achieved anything defensively because Olise is so good. For his assist, it's actually a touch slightly backwards, where you feel like you've done your job defensively, but he plays the ball across to Harry Kane, who then does brilliantly with the finish. This moment again, Olise, you feel like you've led him where you want to, further away from goal, but that left foot is so good at wrapping the ball back in towards the far post. So actually you think you've done your job, but you've just made Olise just as dangerous in a creative sense. He's so good at finding a pass for a teammate to run onto, and that is why, no matter what Madrid did last night, they could not handle this fella. Literally the only thing missing for Olise in this game was a goal or two. If he had managed to grab that, this would have been the complete forward performance. And ultimately, he should have had goals. His teammates just couldn't find the most basic passes to him in the last stages. Olise, had those passes come off, would have been walking away from this game with one of the most iconic Champions League performances we've ever seen. Importantly, the performance was so good though that he doesn't need the goals to truly be recognised. He was fantastic in this game. It's one of the best winger performances that I've seen anywhere in Europe this season. It was seriously a top level and a joy to watch. I absolutely loved every single minute of it. He was fantastic to watch in this game. But I think that was pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about. Olise dribbling, carrying was the thing that stole the attention for me in this game. And that is the point of the AJ Talks Tactics channel. Not to break down every single game in full depth, but to talk about the individual moments or certain details which for me really sort of affected the flow of a game. And in this game, it was Olise, it was his speed, it was his intelligence, it was his manipulation, which made him fantastic. But let me know what you would like to see next on the channel. I think I'll probably be covering PSG Liverpool, but if you want to see something different, do let me know in the comments down below. And whilst you're there, if you could please leave a like and also subscribe to the channel, that would be greatly appreciated. But apart from that, we are now finished. So thank you very much for watching this one. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.